So we know that a user story is all about a card. It's like you should be able to fit a card on the back of a card. As a user, I should be able to do this so that I can get this benefit. As a user role or a type, the functionality, and then the benefit that you are trying to achieve from that. So that's the kind of a construct of a particular user story. And then the reason why it's called conversation is because it should drive the conversations. You can't keep writing hundreds and hundreds of pages of documents like how I used to write 20 years ago. So you should be able to keep it really brief, and then you should discuss amongst the team. Okay, if this is the case, if you want to create an order, how can we create? If you want to add a new user to the new user account, how can we do it? So as an administrator, I should be able to add a new user account so that I can manage it better. So that's the simple user story. And then you actually kind of discuss amongst the team, the architects, the development team, the testers. Then you can actually discuss how you're going to achieve this new user account. So you say that I can do it through this one. Well, we can have an interface. We can have button there. Then that's how the discussion would roll on. Then you can actually further confirm that whether, oh yeah, that's good. That solution is better. This is not good because we don't have a login functionality. Hey, you know what? We can try and use OmniAuth, the Omni OAuth 2.0 tool or technique to kind of get the user authentication. We don't have to build a new login functionality. That's a good idea. Let's do that. So that's a confirmation. So you discuss. This is actually kind of enhancing the communication, the correspondence amongst the team members. That's the whole purpose of a user story. So there's something called as invest principle. So you need to know this. It is very important. I think this might be asked in most of the interviews that you go, if you say, I know Agile. So invest is all about independent. It's basically each story must be independent of the other. Each requirement must be independent. So that's why you could actually bunch a few of them and say, okay, we'll just look at these stories. We'll work on these stories and ignore the rest of the things. So they should be self-contained. They should not be dependency on the other. That's why we call it as loosely coupled, right? It's not tightly integrated. Most of these stories, whatever we write, all of these stories should be like loosely coupled. So you should be able to actually say, okay, take these stories, develop in this sprint, this set of stories, you should be able to develop in the 3rd or 4th or 26th sprint. It shouldn't matter. So that's the independent principle. And then the negotiable, you should be able to negotiate over, okay, I don't want this one. We don't have the database yet. So I don't think we can actually create a new account, but instead can we focus on the aspect of maintaining an account because we already have the data in the database. So that's kind of negotiation, give and take, replace something with something else. So basically every story you should be able to negotiate. And then valuable to users or customers, very important. The V is for valuable. So you should deliver value. That's the fundamental, crux of everything that we do in Agile. Is it value? Making sense to the users or not? It's not about the technology. It's not about whether it's working, myriads magic to the internal team. It's about what matters to the end customers and end users. And then it could be in the form of, for example, saving them some time, or it could be, helping them find and search something quickly. All of these are different values. There are different ways you can define the value, financially and non-financially. And estimation, you should be able to estimate the size of a story. There are different ways. We are going to talk about it in the next session. There's something called as user story points. So you can actually kind of assess in terms of giving them in the t-shirt sizing. There are different t-shirt sizings that we do, large, medium, extra large, small, extra small, blah, 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 something like that. Or you can use, different buckets, low, medium, high. So different kinds of ways of estimating, and we'll talk about it in the estimation technique next week. And then you should be able to make it so small and so atomic that it will not really take a whole sprint or whole release. So you should actually, if you say, for example, I need to have an administrative module, it cannot be one particular story. It should be granular and atomic in such a way that you can deliver that just by that functionality or that story or the requirement. Just for that one, it should be done in perhaps a sprint or 2 sprints, not more than that. For example, you can't create a reporting system in 1 sprint or one particular iteration. So you can actually say that it can create 1 report maybe. So it's all about that whole aspect of the sizing. And the ultimate thing is about testable. You cannot create something that is not, you can't test it, you can't validate and verify that. So every requirement, every story that you create, you should be able to test it then and there, whether it is working or not. So that whole thing, the way you structure it, and the way you build that, you should be able to test that independently on its own. It should not be clubbed with something else. So again, that's important in the context of Agile. Test early, test with real users, test more, test often, that mantra that we were looking at yesterday. Very important. So this is a quick walkthrough. I know it's a really quick one, but I just wanted to bring this Agile thing to and how we've been discussing all through as to how, as BAs, we will tend to work with teams in Agile mode.